Japan is globally recognized as a fortress of public safety. It is a society built on strict social harmony, where violent crime rates are so remarkably low that a single homicide can dominate national headlines for weeks. But this security creates a strange criminological paradox. When violence does erupt in an environment this controlled, it manifests as something far more extreme, the result of deep psychological repression or terrifyingly meticulous planning. Within Japanese true crime studies, the surname Kato is attached to two of the most devastating and heavily scrutinized tragedies of the 2000s. The first occurred in September 2004 in the quiet city of Toyoake. It was an intimate, highly targeted slaughter of a mother and her 3 children, executed inside a perfectly locked house. The second took place 4 years later. A young man named Tomohiro Kato arrived in Tokyo's packed Akihabara district, unleashing a chaotic, indiscriminate daytime rampage on total strangers. Comparing these diametrically opposed crimes reveals the hidden vulnerabilities within Japan's social fabric. They expose the limits of its justice system and show exactly why the government was forced to enact sweeping legal reforms to try and prevent their recurrence. In the early hours of September 9, 2004, firefighters rushed to a blazing 2-story home in Toyoake. Inside, they found the remains of Ryo Kato and her 3 children, aged 9 to 15. They hadn't died from the smoke. Someone had murdered them in their sleep before intentionally setting the house on fire. Autopsies revealed a disturbing gender-based division. The 2 male children were killed instantly by massive blunt force trauma to the back of their skulls. The female victims met a different end, suffering rapid, violent, sharp force trauma, stabbed repeatedly in the chest from the front. Investigators found the house locked securely from the inside, with no signs of forced entry. Even the family's Shiba Inu, a guard dog trained to alert the household to strangers, had been carefully unchained and remained completely silent while the killer was inside. Suspicion naturally fell on the surviving father, Hiroto Kato. But Hiroto had a verified alibi, working overtime in an office an hour away as visits. Despite this domestic friction, police could not link Hiroto to the murders. The fire had burned at nearly sauna-like temperatures, warping the home's steel columns and incinerating traces of DNA, footprints, or weapons. Over 58,000 investigators worked the case, yet it remains an unsolved cold case. Toyoake represents a total breakdown of forensic transparency. The killer operated within a private domestic space with absolute impunity, leaving law enforcement unable to verify the reality of what occurred behind the home's closed doors. 4 years later, the nation faced a different kind of horror. On a Sunday afternoon in June 2008, 25-year-old Tomohiro Kato arrived in Tokyo's bustling Akihabara shopping district. He drove a 5-ton rented truck through a red light and into a crowded pedestrian crosswalk. He then climbed out of the vehicle, wielding a tactical dagger, screaming as he slashed at bystanders and the people rushing to help the injured. In just 3 minutes, he killed 7 people and wounded 10 others. Unlike the secrecy of the Toyoake arson, Kato wanted an audience. He had documented his entire plan, posting step-by-step updates from his mobile phone to internet message boards, right up until 20 minutes before the attack began. His posts revealed a mind consumed by deep financial debt, extreme social isolation, and generalized rage against society. Kato viewed himself as a hikikomori, a total outcast, believing he was too ugly to find a partner, and so expendable that his temporary factory job was about to be cut. This profound alienation didn't form in a vacuum. Kato had endured a strictly high-pressure upbringing, where his parents prioritized academic performance above all else. Neighbors and relatives recalled him being forced to eat food scraps off the floor, and he was frequently made to stand outside for hours in deep winter snow as punishment for his poor grades. Toyoake remains shrouded in the silence of the private home, but Akihabara represents a violent breakdown of the public social contract. It stands as a manifestation of a society failing to intervene when alienated youth slip through the cracks. These events shattered public confidence, but their historical legacy is how they forced the Japanese state to adapt its laws and infrastructure. In the immediate aftermath of the Akihabara attack, the Tokyo government suspended a 35-year tradition of closing main streets to vehicle traffic on Sundays. Simultaneously, the national government initiated a review of weapons regulations, specifically targeting the sale and possession of double-edged knives. Law enforcement also had to publicly confront a growing cultural crisis. The media and police identified a rising epidemic of sudden acts of rage committed by disenfranchised young men, prompting a shift in how authorities monitored online threats and patrolled crowded urban centers. Physical barriers, increased patrols, and weapons bans are reactive. They address the symptoms of public violence, but they struggle to cure the underlying societal isolation that breeds it. When the justice system entirely fails to provide answers, the burden of reform falls on the survivors. For 2 decades, Toshi Amami, the sister of Ryo Kato and aunt to the 3 murdered children, has returned every September to the empty lot in Toyoake, where her family's house once stood. She refuses to let the public or the police forget the case. Channeling her grief into direct action, she joined Sora no Kai, an advocacy group composed of victims' families pushing for legal changes. Her relentless campaigning contributed to a massive legal victory. In 2010, Japan completely abolished the statute of limitations for murder and other capital offenses. Because of her work, the killers in Toyoake and in any other unsolved homicide can no longer wait out the clock to escape prosecution. A nation's commitment to safety is defined by its resilience, by how it adapts its laws and relentlessly remembers those violently taken from it.